Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be looking at some updates from posts we've recently read. I have heard the requests, the void has received your cries and is delivering what you have asked for. Yeah, I had a few comments that were like, you need to check out the updates to these because it got a lot worse. So obviously I am clearly going to be there for it, okay? So, if that sounds like something you'd be interested in listening to today, then please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Thank you. Okay, so this first post is an update to one we read the other day, and I will actually make an effort to link these in the description, by the way, the ones that we've previously read. But simple recap. OP's fiance decided to go out and get a tattoo of OP's dead brother, the dead brother that she had met a handful of times at best and barely knew. OP found it very weird. It was a very big tattoo in a very prominent place, and of course they found it weird, which, fair enough. And they were asking if they were reasonable for being weirded out by it. Anyway, so here's the update. It's final. I've broken up with her. I don't even know why I'm writing this other than to get some closure on the situation and maybe some support. I've read so many comments this morning, and while it didn't go the way I or anyone anticipated, I've taken my decision, though I'm struggling to accept it myself. Last night when Bella came home from work, I made sure to make dinner and asked if we could talk after dinner in the back garden. She said that that was okay, but that she needed time to shower and unwind before dinner, so she'd be a bit late, but that I could start eating. I agreed, and she went upstairs while I ate the dinner I'd made with the TV on in the back. She came down about an hour later while I was winding things up and washing dishes from earlier, and I offered to get her a hot plate, and she agreed, saying that she'd eat on the couch in our living room rather than the kitchen where we have a dining table, also where I ate. I said that was fine, and I brought it over to her, and as I gave it to her while she was sitting, her hand out to take it, I somehow managed to drop it, and the hot spag bowl went all over it. Oh dear. I immediately apologised profusely and went to grab her some water and tissues, towels, but she just started screaming at me. I do not want to make myself sound like a victim in this, so I want to be careful with how I write this, but yes, she started saying that I did that on purpose and that I was punishing her for our conversation that morning and for the tattoo in general. I immediately defended myself as I brought over a damp towel and some tissues and said I knew I had a steady grip on the plate, so there was no way I had done that on purpose. Also saying that I always spoke respectfully and calmly to her about the tattoo situation and that I'd never escalate things like this. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, it was an accident. Like, you're not going to just throw hot spaghetti bolognese on someone for no reason. But yeah, clearly, I feel like from the start she was trying to avoid the conversation. And was, you know, by having a shower, eating late and whatever. And then it was going to be, oh, I'm tired now, so I'm going to bed. So clearly she was on eggshells already because she didn't want to have the conversation. And I feel maybe that's why she's blown up like that over such a small thing. Things beyond are a blur, but we had a big fight and she broke many, and I mean many, of our glasses and plates, and even tried to pull off a cabinet door in our kitchen, goodness me, that was already not in good condition, and threw anything around her at me. By the end of it, I said I couldn't be with her anymore and that this was the last straw and left for my parents' house. Yeah, I mean, even if you did want to try and work things out, taking yourself out the equation in that kind of situation is for the best, for sure. I haven't returned and I haven't picked up any of her calls, and I'm honestly afraid of what she'll do to my belongings if she so easily broke so much of the we bought together. I'm still at my parents' house and I haven't told them either, but I think this is it. This may be the last update because I don't know if I can focus on this when I have everything else I need to resolve. Thank you all for your comments. I really appreciated them and I never expected this outcome. Peace and love to all that helped. Final update. Have spoken to family about it and they asked me to try and have a final conversation to remedy this, and I rejected it. We'll be bringing my things back either tonight or tomorrow depending on when she gets back from work, and we'll bring a friend with me. I'm more at peace with my decision now, so thank you for all the help. Yeah, it's just such a weird situation. I just genuinely can't fathom any of it, really. Like, I don't get it. Obviously, the fiance knows they did wrong because, you know, they wouldn't have blown up like that over a spilled spaghetti bolognese. Like, accidents happen. Yes, I'm sure it was not pleasant having a hot spaghetti bolognese spilt on you, but accidents happen. But smashing all of the dishes is a real overreaction. So then down in the comments of that update, Jukebox Hero 1997 says, yikes, I'm glad you got out of there, OP. What a mess of a situation. But it's good that you were able to see the sides of her before the wedding. Yeah, it's much more complicated to get out when divorce is involved. As for your own belongings, maybe see if the police can help with that. I don't know if they were in the UK. I feel like they're in the UK from the original post. I can't remember. But if so, the police will be absolutely frigging useless when it comes to getting your stuff back. Terribly useless. And then we do have another update to this story. So the OP updates us saying, hi, posting this for closure. Ex-fiance has gotten a removal scheduled for next week and has called, texted and gotten her friends to message me and to apologise. I responded and asked to speak, and we met yesterday at my parents' house to speak, with my parents mediating, just for safety and efficiency. She apologised numerous times and asked to give her a chance, saying that she'd never been like this before, and it's all a result of a stupid thing she's now embarrassed and ashamed of, referring to the tattoo. I reiterated that it wasn't even really the tattoo that had caused me to leave at the end of the day, but rather her explanation for it and how violent she got with me so fucking easily. My parents were on my side for this, but asked me to be gentle prior, and so I was. Told her I couldn't see us being together any longer, so that is that. And I think that's absolutely fair after what went down. Lasted probably the entire late afternoon and evening. I did learn other things. While we were dating, much younger, on and off, she had kept 2 pregnancies from me and had gotten an abortion. I don't blame her for this action, as I understand the many multifaceted reasons she must have had, and she does have that right over her body. This isn't of much relevance, but I just wished I had known because we could have better prevented it, i.e. gotten better condoms so she didn't have to go through it. Didn't even have to tell me. I feel as if she even implied that the things we were using was probably ineffective. I'd change them to prevent what was clearly unwanted at that stage. Yeah, it's not so much about the fact that, you know, she took those actions, because I could understand that, you know, when you're young and, you know, even if you're not young, if you don't want that and your methods of preventing it have failed, I totally get that. It's the fact that she's kept it from the OP that's bad. Like, why would you keep that from your partner? Anyways, I went over to take my things this morning and we are on better terms. She'll be leaving the house, as it's under my name, in a week's time for her parents' place too. I do forgive her and have asked her to seek support if need be, professionally that is, and she has agreed. Thank you all for the help and support. I'm grieving both losses now, but I'm hopeful that one is for the better. God bless. So, down in the comments of that update, Deleted User says, I mean, it's still wild she probably dropped like 300 to 500 on the tattoo in the first place, and now has to wait 3 to 4 months to get it removed. The violence was kind of unsurprising as a reader. She's not being rational, and those kinds of people usually resolve to violence in the end. The violence was kind of unsurprising as a reader. She's not being rational, and those kinds of people usually resort to violence in the end. Good luck. And then Signal Historian 456 says 300 to 500 when you do it in someone's basement. A good portrait costs a fortune. And then Real Butterscotch 2705 says exactly this. Mine cost 1,500. Okay, so depends where you are really. Again, 300 to 500 when you're in the UK is about the right price for a portrait tattoo, actually. A day sit-in, I think normally most tattoo artists, depending on where they are and who they are, charge about 300 to 500 for a day sit-in. Or at least that's the way I've found it anyway, whenever I've been and got some, and I've had some like really in-depth ones done. So yeah, not that it's important, it's just wild to spend that much on someone who really you did not know all that much. Next update is from a post where essentially this OP's friend come on to them, tried in the worst way possible to stake a claim to them, saying that they basically wanted to get with them. It was a very weird way to do it, very disrespectful way to do it, and the OP denied them, told them no. So I found these updates from Choice Evidence 1983 in the Borrow subreddit, but I'm not going to go through the original post again. I, again, will link it in the description below, just for quickness. But yeah, just to say that this is where I found the updates, because the original poster actually deleted their account. So yeah, annoying, because it took me a minute to find this. Okay, so relevant comments from the first post, basically replying to what the OP had said had gone down. Commenter 1 says, not the butthole. Even if you had kinda liked him, I feel like declaring his feelings by being rude about your current partner is such a turnoff. So yeah, basically he was like, why does your partner get to have you when I knew you first? Essentially like toddler, I licked it so it's mine logic, and basically saying that her partner isn't worthy and what have you. And then he went on a little crying rampage and drinking himself into a stupor when he didn't get his own way. He doesn't say anything meaningful or romantic about you, just that he thinks he's better than your actual boyfriend, so you should date him instead. So entitled. And then commenter 2 says, and all his bragging about himself is superficial, shallow stuff. OP is right. He's too immature and self-centered. It sounds like he's never had to earn anything for himself. How did he think that this would go? She would say, gee, you're right. How could I be so foolish? And then he could tell her she still had to earn his love. Bah, just gross. Literally. And then OP says he's the typical rich boy who thinks that we should all bow down to him, but if we are to remove his parents' money, then he's got nothing to his name. What a shocker. Commenter 3. Why doesn't she like me? I'm literally the most perfect guy. I'm a really nice person. You're a bad person. Cue a narcissistic existential crisis that has nothing to do with you, but you will be blamed for. Yeah. And then OP says very narcissistic. He makes everything about him and always wants to one-up his friends. I'm definitely dropping him and the people supporting him. And then commenter 4 says, I find it disgusting that she thought she had a friend while he was just waiting. Laying in wait more like. Literally. I can honestly say there's nothing more disheartening and quite scary, frankly, of thinking you have, as a woman, have a male friend and then they turn around on you, do a 180, next thing they want to get in your pants, they're being pushy, they're being disrespectful, and then you don't feel safe because you think, well, this person knows everything about everything I do, and now they're acting like this. So one, not only am I gutted that this friend never actually cared about me in the first place, they saw me as another hole to try and conquer, they also now are making me feel very unsafe because they know everything about me, where I go, who my family are, and they're being very pushy. Where is this going to go? Commenter 5 then says, it's the waiting part that's a huge red flag. If I even thought I developed feelings for a friend, I would let them know to get ahead of it and see how they felt. But waiting 10 years and pulling the I knew you first, that makes you sound like a possession, not a person he wants to grow with. Not to mention the fact that you have a boyfriend and waits until then to tell you. Seriously, I think people think Hallmark Christmas rom-coms are documentaries. Literally. And then commenter 6 says, yep, he fuck-zoned her, then gaslighted her into thinking he was a friend. Commenter 7 then says, yeah, this is a huge detail right here. OP's gonna realise that he was never her friend and that he was just being nice because he wanted to be with her. Once you realise that as a woman, your whole perspective changes as you question all the male friends you ever had. OP's amazing for how she straight up told her friend, lol. And then OOP says, I've honestly been thinking about our entire friendship. We went to the same primary school, that's how we have mutual friends and all. All this time I thought I had a great friend until I started noticing his relationships, and this just solidified my decision to leave our friend group. So the update comes 4 days later to the original post. I told my guy friend why I don't want to date him. Our friends are saying I broke him. Update. Hello Reddit. I don't know if anyone will find this, but I did get a lot of comments and a lot of great suggestions and help on my first post, so I feel like I owe you an update, lol. So, a couple of things have happened since then. After some people mentioned things on my safety, I took it to heart and told my sister and her husband, I live with them for now, the issue. Of course, it was also just in case my ex-friends were to stop by the house, since they would do that sometimes. Since there's a baby at our house, my sister's baby, they thought that having cameras was not a bad idea for everyone's safety. And I told my boyfriend as well, since some of you were worried about his safety too. He's a fit guy and has security at his house, so he'll be alright. How has he got security at his house money? And does he want to adopt a 30-year-old? Just asking. On Friday, I went to a birthday party with my boyfriend for one of his friends, and everything was going well until I saw one of Mark's sidekicks. Let's call him Ben. I pass him without saying anything, and he just looks at me. I notify my boyfriend that he's there, and we decide to not let him bother us. An hour later, I saw him, Mark is the butthole, by the way, talking to the birthday girl. Not surprised they know each other, honestly. Most of us went to the same primary school and stayed connected through the years. Then he made his way over to us, smiling like nothing had happened. He went straight to my boyfriend and extended his hand. "I'm Mark. You remember me, right? And you must be the boyfriend," he says. My boyfriend shaked his hand, being polite, of course. He then told him in his most annoying voice, "Can I borrow you for a sec? I just want to talk." I immediately shut him down and told him to leave us alone. He didn't. He persisted for a full minute, and when my boyfriend tells him to leave, he just goes on and tries to take my hand by force. My boyfriend, being already annoyed by the whole issue, slaps the arrogance out of him. He tries to fight back, but my boyfriend punches him in the face. Goodness me. The security people were called and took him out shouting, and we left after explaining the whole thing to the birthday girl. My boyfriend dropped me off at home and he left immediately. The next day, that is Saturday, a video was sent to me, a video of Mark being taken away by the security and people laughing. I guess somebody was filming. The person who sent it was one of Mark's ex-girlfriends. Her message was, "Served him right." So yeah, that's where we are now. It's been quiet since yesterday, but knowing Mark, he'll definitely pull something on my boyfriend. My boyfriend is not one to resort to violence, but Mark had it coming, honestly. If it wasn't him, someone would have done it. Yeah, probably, if he acts that entitled all the time. I tried to make it short, but it's still very long. I'm sorry for that. I'll try to answer as many questions as I can, and to those I couldn't respond to on my previous posts, I truly appreciate your comments. Relevant comments, commenter 1, not the butthole. Bro, you literally set boundaries, and he refused to respect them. Your boyfriend protecting you equals normal. Exactly. Like, the OP gave Mark chances and even outlined what the reasons were she wouldn't touch him with a barge pole in the first place. And, you know, he still acted an absolute idiot. We have a saying here in the UK, talk shit, get banged. And banged means punched. OP, thank you. He'll definitely appreciate this. He's still sad about me witnessing that side of him, but I've assured him that I'm not bothered. What, the side of him that's protective? Why is he concerned? Of course you're not going to be mad about that. Mark crossed so many lines. Commenter 2. Security came, and if they thought your boyfriend was a problem at all, they'd have hauled him off right alongside Mark. Exactly. They knew who the a-hole was. Even though they are complete strangers to you, your boyfriend shouldn't be sad that you had to witness that side of him any more than he should be sad for you to see him take a shit. He should... You can't be making me laugh like that when I have a cold. He just did what he had to do in an unfortunate situation. OP, I'll show this comment to him, and you're right on the security part. Mark wasn't even invited. The birthday girl was just being polite when he showed up after Ben told him I was there. Ben needs to grow a spine and stop being a puppet. Yeah, Mark's well and truly got his hand up Ben's ass, hasn't he? Commenter 3. Following for more updates. This guy is crazy. He must have thought you didn't tell your boyfriend when he thought he could borrow you. And it just shows that he has zero respect for women by thinking he could grab you and make you go with him. He needs to look at himself and take your previous words to heart and maybe get some therapy. OOP then says, honestly, I wish he could just get some therapy too. Mark is doing too much. I wouldn't be surprised if more people start distancing themselves from him. In a place where everyone knows almost everyone, people want to avoid being dragged into drama. And then editor's note marking this concluded as OOP has deleted their account, so won't be seeing any more updates. I mean, I feel like that was a nice conclusion, wasn't it? Mark got put in his place. He got shown the consequences of his actions. All is well that ends well, you know? So yeah, perfect end to it. Okay, so now we have our final update of the day. So this one was from a post where the OP's 15-year-old son was getting survivor benefits from their kid's dad passing. And the new fella, who by the way was an on and off fella, wants to have the money, wants to have half the money and then put the other half into savings. Big no. I will again link it in the description, but here is the update. Broke up with him, he threatened my family, found out he's not paying child support. What a surprise. Following my original post, I ended the relationship with my ex over the weekend. The breakup escalated into heated argument, with him repeatedly calling and threatening to go to my mother's and grandmother's homes to cause a scene. I had to call his mother to calm him down. I love how you called his mum to tell on him. This was the final straw for me. In the argument, I also discovered that he is not paying child support for his minor child. What a surprise. Combined with his abusive and manipulative behaviour, our engagement and plans to buy a house are off. For those who commented about the $500, my son's a very responsible young man whose college is already paid for. He has a car and a part-time job and saves a significant portion of his spending money. The issue was never about the amount, but about my ex's manipulation regarding our finances to gain control. I am now focused on mine and my family's safety. I have blocked all contact and am documenting all threats in case legal action is needed. Thank you for your support. I am choosing my well-being and finally feel a sense of relief and strength. Good, I'm glad you got rid of him because he sounds like an absolute poo tube. Like, I just don't get why you'd want to be with someone who's like sees a child having money from their dead dad and goes, ha ha ha, that's going to be for me, that. Like, any bloke who wants to live off the dime of a child? Ew. Ew. And then down in the comments, Victory Shaft says, congrats on separating yourself from that leech. All he could see was free money. Thank the deity you worship that his mask slipped before you shared any contracts. Honestly, imagine being married to someone like that. Ew. And then Misty Am says, the mask more than slipped, it came crashing down. So glad OP is out. And then Tree Chemistry Please says, if you've blocked his number, I recommend you unblock it and choose to mute it. This will allow you to gather any threats without needing to see them until you check at a later time. If he escalates his behaviour in the future, you can use the muted threats as part of the process to get an order of protection. I'm glad you dodged this bullet, and you and your son won't be used by him anymore. Okie dokie, so I think that's where we're going to leave it for the day. I hope you enjoyed hearing a few little updates. I often forget to go back and check for updates and things, so yeah, if you ever see me read a post and you know that there is a nice little update to it, do let me know and I will make an effort to go back and have a look at those and share them with the class. So, if you made it all the way to the end with me, I appreciate you very, very much. If you give a little like, subscribe, notifications on, that is your initiation into the Cult of Void. Welcome. Whatever it is you're doing for the day, I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Goodbye!